Today I'm doing winter vegetable soup. Now the ingredients in soup are always flexible, so you can easily change the season on this and turn it into spring or summer. But since it's winter, I'm going to be using some of the vegetables that are common to winter or that we've stored in freezing and canning. So I have a tablespoon of canola oil, and I'm adding to that a cup of chopped onion and a half a cup of celery. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit more. And we're going to let these simmer and think about each other for about 5 to 6 minutes, just until they're beginning to be tender. Towards the very end, I'm going to add a clove of garlic that I've chopped up, and then we'll add all the other ingredients to it and let it simmer for about an hour. So once you get a lot of the chopping done, you're good to go. And to be honest, there's not a lot of chopping if you're using canned and frozen foods. So the onion I needed to chop, you might have had that frozen. Celery I chopped, and I've got carrots that I'm going to chop, and you could have used canned or frozen on those also. So everything else is pretty much good to go. So it's not going to take a lot of effort on your part in order to make this ready for a cold winter evening or a nice fall or a summer night. I'm going to let this simmer for a few more minutes and we'll come back. We just let that sweat a little bit. Now I'm going to add the garlic to it. Now the amount of garlic you put in, 1 clove of garlic would probably be plenty. I've got a little bit more because they were really tiny. So this is, again, going to be personal preference, as all soups are, which makes them really great to eat because you can make them just with the ingredients that your family likes. I'm also going to add a can, 2 cups or 1 pint of tomatoes. Now I've used diced tomatoes. You could use whole tomatoes. If you wanted to, you could use stewed tomatoes, so you have a lot of flexibility there. I've got a cup of thinly sliced carrots. I've got 1 potato that I cut into cubes. Now the recipe calls for a specific amount, but if yours is a little smaller or a little bigger, it's going to be fine. I've got 2 cups of frozen peas. Get the rest of them out here. And 2 cups of frozen corn. Again, here you could use canned if you had those and not the other. And in the spring and summer, you could use fresh. And I've got 2 cups of frozen lima beans. Now, one interesting substitution here might be edamame, if you had that instead. I'm also going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper, a teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of dried basil, 1/4 of a teaspoon of dill seed. Now, you don't want a lot of dill, but it adds a surprisingly lot of depth of flavor to this. And a little bit more pepper, and I've got a bay leaf somewhere that didn't make it over here, but this is going to cook for an hour, and we'll put the bay leaf in during that cooking time. Now, bay leaves really do require about that much time for the flavor to actually start coming out. So if you've got something that is going to cook much less than an hour, a bay leaf really isn't going to do you any good. Now for the base of this, I've got some low-fat or fat-free stock or broth. I'm using chicken. You could use vegetable broth. You could even use beef broth on this. And I've got 7 cups of it that are going to go in here. And we're going to bring this up to a simmer, and we're just going to let it simmer for 1 hour. And during that hour, I'm going to sneak over and find that bay leaf, and we'll get that in here too. After about an hour, you can check the vegetables, make sure they're as soft as you want them to be. Now this is a lot of soup. If you come with a small family, this may be more than you need at any one time or any couple of 3 days. So what you can do with this is take it out and cool it down. I would recommend that you cool it using an ice bath because you want it to cool very quickly. So set the pan in a sink full of ice water and stir it fairly often until you get it down to a reasonable temperature of about 40 degrees or so. Then ladle it into containers and you can put it into the freezer. I'd also do that if you're not going to eat it right away, but you're going to serve it later. I would divide it into smaller batches so that you can chill it down. The ice bath is one of the nice ways to do that. You can also fill a container with water that you've washed the outside with, freeze it, and then you can actually use that to stir, and that will also cool the soup down very, very quickly as well. This is ready to serve, and it looks absolutely terrific. I hope you'll give this one a try. There's nothing else you have to do for it after that hour has gone by other than decide what you want to eat with it, serve it, and enjoy. I hope you'll try this one. It's winter vegetable soup. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.